Morning guys, Justin here from Patriot Campers. I thought I'd take the opportunity today, pretty exciting day here, as it always is. It's an exciting day every day. This is the first X1-H that's leaving for the United States. Now, I've pinched this one off the production line just this morning. It still hasn't gone through QA, so it's not 100% complete, but I wanted to give everybody a bit of a, I suppose, an insight into where the X1-H has come from, probably where it's going, and the reason that we've evolved into this design that you see here behind me. The hardtop lid, I suppose, especially for rooftop tents, it's not a new concept. It's been around for a really long time. Flip around here and have a look. This is Sarah's X2 from Arnhem Land. So Sarah kind of rolls with a James Baroud, real easy setup. The soft top bag is, look, it's still got its place. I'll run you through a little bit later on what the difference is with an X1 and X1-H as far as setup and pack down goes. There's no two ways about it. This thing has been designed for lightning fast setup. I can set this thing up, and as a matter of fact, I think I'll do it today. I can set this thing up as quick as I can set up my swag. But let's talk about the evolution first. And I actually want to show you something. Come for a walk through here with me, and I'll show you where this design has evolved from, where it all kind of came from. It's just gone 20 past 7, so the team's starting to roll in. I don't think we'll spend a lot of time through here. Come with me, mate. If you have a look on the wall here, these are actually the drawings, the blueprints, I suppose, for the first ever X1, the first camper trailer that I designed 5 years ago. The date on there is 4th of the 2nd, 2013. So this is the X1 concept, and you'll notice in all these concept drawings, the original X1 was designed to take a James Baroud. That's what it was always intended to do. Now, we built the first one with the James Baroud, then I built one for my best mate, Matty, and I won't go into that whole story, but we started taking it to trade shows and people wanted more. They wanted canvas, they wanted a double mattress, they wanted somewhere to put the kids, and that's where the evolution kind of came from. But it was always the target to get it back to this sort of stage of lightning fast setup. So come back through here, there's a little bit of Patriot Campers history, I suppose. You can see the team starting to roll in the door. Morning, Hannah. Duck in here. Sarah, Bree, say good morning. Morning. We got Michael's actually here. Let's ambush Michael real quick. Morning, mate. Hello. Michael's been away. Where you been?
I've been Adelaide, Newcastle, everywhere.
We're just doing a video on the X1-H, and this is not prompted. It is literally, look at this. Check this out through the window. So Michael's just driven back. He's picked up my boat from Adelaide, from the Dinghy Derby. X1-H. This is what we're doing a video about, so your timing is impeccable.
Straight into it.
How'd it go?
It was awesome, man.
Yeah? What was the feedback?
From everyone that had seen it and come, we had a lot of people coming just to check out the X1-H, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But feedback was phenomenal, so everyone was stoked to see the next generation of what we had to come.
And there you go, hear it from the horse's mouth. Good on you, man. I'll catch up with you later on. Brad, service manager in here. Jack, everybody knows from Patriot Games. Say good morning, guys. Good morning. So come back through here and we'll get stuck into it. So let's quickly talk about service and warranty and the evolution, and I suppose modifications is a really big topic as well. Retrofits. Why don't Patriot Campers retrofit to their existing trailers? Well, realistically, it's kind of on the same path. Obviously, we're not anywhere near that level, but it'd be like taking a 100 series Land Cruiser into Toyota and saying, can you make it look like a 200 series? The couple of problems that are associated with that, the amount of engineering and testing that goes into all of the products, everything that we produce, and I'm going to show you a little bit later on a bit of insight into the testing that's gone into this X1, it is a huge wheel to turn. The second part of that is documentation on the trailers. So we've naturally progressed, we've become better and better at our service, warranty, spare parts departments, and keeping track of every VIN number and what's fitted to these trailers is a massive task. You know, I've got 3 people in customer service now that are just concentrating on document control. So as the company, you know, as we get older, we can go back and supply spare parts for retrofit. If there's a failure, if a customer has an accident, and we're getting extremely good at it. We have trailers coming in here that are rolled over, and you know, in the early days, we were changing these trailers sort of once a month. There were small changes being made, and then when a customer called up from another state that needed a spare part, we didn't know where we were. So we've put all that infrastructure in place. That being said, we now have 6 dealers around Australia, which is, it's a massive advantage to all of our customers for so many reasons. From the sales perspective, you can go see one of these dealers, you can touch one, you can feel it, you can go through the pack up and set down of the trailer and really find out whether that camper trailer suits you. The other side of that as well is servicing. You could be in a remote location and you're not going to have a dealer too far away. You know, if you're buying a product from a manufacturer that only has one outlet of distribution, like a lot of the Australian manufacturers do, and we did in the early days and we dealt with it, makes it a lot harder. You know, if you're up in the Kimberley and you're the only place that you can get a spare part or your trailer looked at is, you know, down in Sydney or Melbourne or Adelaide or Perth, it causes some big problems, and we saw that in the early days. If that manufacturer doesn't have document control over the changes that they've made to their trailer, you could send out 5 or 6 spare parts before you find the right one that fits. You know, you're really relying on that one individual or that one guy to sort out your spare parts. So that's a massive, massive consideration when you're thinking about buying a trailer. Outside of the dealer network, as everybody knows, we have a very, very strong affiliation with TJM. TJM Cairns, TJM Alice Springs, and multiple other TJMs around the country. Like I said, you're never too far away. You know, we're directly in contact with those guys, and should something go wrong or you need something serviced, something as simple as a wheel alignment, my team can steer you in the right direction. All right, let's get into setting this thing up. The first thing I'll do is turn on the 12-volt system. Actually, before I do that, let's just touch on these over-center latches. These are an O-drop product. They come out of Sweden. They've got an anti-vibration latch on the bottom there. Obviously, what the anti-vibration does is stop your latch from popping open if they were vibrating too much, and I've seen it happen 1,000 times. That's why we put these all the way around the trailer. Simple push button, you push on the side there. Ladies with your fingernails, obviously nothing to worry about. Sarah's got fingernails longer than my fingers and she doesn't have a problem. That's how you open them. Obviously to close them, it's exactly the same thing. Watch out for people who don't know how to open these things up. I see them struggle a little bit, but all you gotta do is push that button on the side. The reason we've gone with those over-center latches, you can see here, the bench tops are nice and clean. There's no mechanism coming through like a typical sort of over-center latch, which you'll see if you imagine that mechanism sitting on the top here, keeps the bench top nice and clean. Turn the 12 volt on, 2 touches with the Red Vision, the TVMS, and I'll quickly touch on for this year, we've reduced the base price of the X1 and the X1-H and offered our customers more options. So you now have a tech pack available and a lifestyle pack, which has brought the base price of the X1 down about $7,000. Jump on the website for a little bit more details. In other videos, I'll go through that in a little bit more detail. So, now I've got the 12 volt on. The reason I turned it on was just to get the lights on in the tent, so when I go around the other side, I can show you guys all the lighting and all the really cool stuff that we put inside of this lid. Again, before I open it, let me show you something real quick. So I've just grabbed this. This is a panel. This is actually the composite that makes up the hard lid. Now, it's an infused glass. I will do a video at some stage of this lid being manufactured. It's manufactured right here in Queensland. It's actually manufactured on the Sunshine Coast. I was up at that supplier on Friday. We were going through some final quality stuff with them. This is part of the low volume run. So we now have 7 that we've run down the production line to iron out all the bugs with production. They've gone to every distributor around the country, so there's one at every distributor right now in X1-H if you want to go and check one out. This is the first one going into the USA, so Matt Green, this is coming at you. But getting into the lid, when I was at that manufacturer, he's got a lid that came out of the mould that was rejected, and we had it sitting on the floor, and again, I'll do another video. He said to me, I'm like 95 kilos. He goes, dude, jump on it, see what you can do, try and break it. And I was bouncing up and down in that thing like a trampoline on every bit of the lid, and I could not for the life of me put a hole or a ding in it. It literally just, every time it flexed, it just popped back out. And the infusion technology, the process that goes into this, how it's manufactured is really intense. So I will do another video on that. But you can see that it's fully insulated in some places. The core's not this thick all the way through the lid, obviously only where it needs that sort of structural integrity. My engineering team here, and it's worth stating, I've got 6 engineers on staff now. I've got guys back from every style of background that you can imagine, and 2 guys, that are V8 supercar background. And some of the stuff that's coming out of that department here at the moment is just insane. I come up with a concept, and the mechanics that these boys are putting into it, the effort that they put into every one of their products, the whole team. I don't think there's one of the engineers that doesn't own a four-wheel drive, actually, from 60 series to jacked up Land Cruisers, and it's these guys live and breathe it. Last weekend, for example, I was away and come back on Monday. The whole engineering team were talking about their weekend out at Genoan Park. You know, all of them got together. So we live and breathe this stuff, and all of the staff, you know, there's over 100 people involved, 100 families now involved with Patriot Campers that all live and breathe what we do, and it's quite a unique place to be, and I think it really shines in the design now. When the engineering team first designed this, we come up with a concept. The first one we prototyped out of sheet metal. That's what we know. The idea came to do it out of composite. We actually engaged another industrial designer outside of the mechanical engineers that we have, that was a designer for Holden, and he worked with us on the ribbing and the aerodynamics of the lid. So you can see on the top of the lid there's a big scoop at the back behind the solar panel, and what that's actually doing is diverting airflow over the back door of the camper trailer. So when you get that swirl of dust coming off the back of the camper trailer, that air blowing over the lid is diffusing that dust and pushing it back down to the ground. Again, there's going to be many videos coming out, and I'll show you that process as well, but it's the amount of work that's gone into it is pretty intense. Another product that we've developed here, and you get a better view when I open it up, is this extrusion in the corner cap system. So we've invested a lot of money this year into hard tooling. We're getting better at plastics, ABSs, composites, aluminium extrusions, and really working outside of that realm of just sheet metal, you know. The laser process is something that we're so familiar with. Obviously, we've got 2 lasers and 6 CNC press brakes now, so we understand that process, but we've learned a lot with the resources that we're putting into the engineering department. All the water that runs down this channel, it's all diverted and it channels off into the 4 corners of the camper trailer. You'll never get a perfect seal between an awning and a hard lid. I shouldn't say that, never. It's very, very difficult to do. And I'll show you how we've combated that. But even these unique little designs here of diverting the water into the corners so you don't get any water coming off the whole tent, spilling onto the side of the camper trailer. When the lid's open, and I've seen a couple of retrofits now that when the lid's open on just the hardtop tent that's bolted on top of an X1, it's created like this slippery slide of water that's just going to wash down and pelt down straight into the kitchen. So again, we've combated that, and I'll show you that now as I set it up. Do I have a remote control in my pocket? That's what you need to open the tent. I'll show you the redundancy for that as well. Again, anti-vibration latches. So this awning mechanism was another massive evolution, and this is one of the products that I'm really most proud of. I remember the day me and all the engineers were standing outside, and we used to have a telescoping awning mechanism, which was steel on steel, which it done the job, but it wasn't the ultimate solution. We all stood around and said, there's got to be a way. What about a scissor and whatever? And the engineers, it was a couple of days before the concept was hashed out, and it just works amazingly. There is a little bit of rock in the top there, but what we've actually designed in here, and you can see the base plates are quite small, but these awning mechanisms are designed to lock into the tent and lock into the hard lid. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So when it's in the up position, if you just want to use this as bar mat, for example, it's going to move around a little bit, which is absolutely nothing to worry about. When it's down, it's hard locked to the top. Undo the clips on this side. Obviously the awning's already popped. The trick is to pop the awning first, because what happens is when the lid opens up, the lid will touch a rubber seal and a gutter at the back of the awning, which I'll run you through later. What I've found is the easiest way to set it up on your own, shouldn't say the easiest, the quickest way to set it up on your own with a remote control, just hold the button on the remote control while you're opening up the awning. So we'll do this in real time. I'll run through it like at a trade show. Every time at a trade show you go and open up at one of these camper trailers in front of a crowd, something goes wrong, but it'll give you the indication on real life experience, what's going to happen. So hold the button down, you can see the lid starting to open, and as I'm doing that, obviously I'll open the awning and get the awning out. So this is exactly the same awning that we use on the X1s. It's a 270 degree awning. It's the same material that's on the rooftop tent currently. We are playing around with some other materials at the moment. There's a lot of new, I suppose, developments in materials. So materials are changing, but that might come at a later date. The spare tyre swing away is the actual tensioner for the awning, same as the X1. Oh, that's open, so the lid's fully open. I'll just get rid of that remote. Get all these legs down. All of the poles are integrated into the awning. You only need one. I'll grab one out the back, which I just checked before that it was actually in there. So I'll get this open up. So this is the only pole that you need. You're probably better off just leaving that a little bit low at the moment. And we'll open this one up, and then I'll chuck this spreader pole in. So it's just got a spigot and 2 holes. Oh, I missed that. So we'll get that into that end. And then lining it up on that end can sometimes be a drama, but there we go, that's tensioned up. And then you'd walk around and kind of open all that up. There is one more step that you need to do just around the back here. Obviously check this one's tensioned out, but you've got an extension on this post here as well, which brings the awning out taut, and that's obviously to get around the spare tyre swing away and marry it out to the tent. So that's the awning fully set up. I'll just quickly show you. Underneath here, we've got a gutter that's marrying up into the roof. So you can see here on the roof, you've got a gutter that runs all the way through. Where I've actually gone wrong on this setup is I've left the awning, well, I'll push the awning bag over the back. But what I'll do is I'll just pop the roof back down and bring that awning bag back over. But that gutter is tapered, it's on a 5-degree angle. So what it does is, if you come out here and look down here, so between your kitchen area and obviously the roof, you've got this gutter with a 5-degree taper that's gonna divert water all to the front and run straight on top of your gas bottle holder, so it keeps it away from that side of the trailer. Moving around this side, so now we just open the bows. There is a little bit of a trick to opening this up. That's actually caught up on the awning. So I'll just open that out, and then these poles here just snap into place there. So that's really your tent setup. A couple of different ways to pack this up, but I'll leave this one out, and then you open your bed base. So getting up in here, bed base is opened up. Drop the staircase down. We've got another brace here that's got multi-adjustable points. So if you're on uneven ground, you've got a couple of adjustments there. And then obviously with the new, this is a whole new concept of ladder that I'll run through that in a second. And then we just go around and we attach up all of the canvas. Touch this around here, around the sides. We've got a zipper in here too on this side. So a really neat thing about this, this zipper here, before I attach it, if you look underneath here, you've got access to the whole mechanism on the side. So when you're opening or packing the tent down, say if you do get canvas inside anywhere, you've got nice clean access into there. The other thing that you've got in this new trailer, or the new X1-H, you've got a massive storage area at the back here for all of your bedding. So pillows, sleeping bags, whatever other gear that you want to leave up in there. You've got a void sort of 300 mil wide or about 250 mil high. So when you pack up all your bedding, you push all your bedding up into this end here, and you can leave up there whatever you like, and that's a big advantage. A lot of rooftop tents, you just can't do that, and especially rooftop tents that collapse onto themselves, because obviously when the bed base is closed, you've got nowhere in between the split and the split of the mattress to be able to put gear in. So I'll just zip this up. You got Velcro seals around here. Seal that up in there. Drop the tent on there. Again, we'll do a full setup video at another stage. Drop that zipper down, and that zipper seals around the pole here. So there is a little bit of fiddling around to do to get, you know, the perfect seal. So from here, what you do is obviously you just kind of walk around and just make sure that all your seals are nice and tight. Your Velcros are in the right position. You've got these little fid locks as well in the two corners of the front of the tent. They're just a little magnetic latch, and you can pull on here, and that'll ensure that the seal's a little bit better in the corners, but probably more importantly that your canvas isn't going to flap around in the nights. Now you've got a tropical fly on top. Realistically, for that tropical fly to do its job properly, there's another connection in the back, which I'm not going to bother going through today, and you pull that nice and taut, put a peg down into the ground, and that creates a thermal barrier on top of the canvas to keep your tent nice and cool. Now, the other thing, if you want a perfect seal, well, obviously 100% sort of midgie proof, you need to put the change room on. The change room zips onto the bottom down here and all the way around the top of the tent, and that creates a perfect seal in the whole change room and inside the rooftop tent against really midgies. Worthwhile noting too, we have two different styles of materials for Australia and the United States in the change room. The United States change room has to be a fire retardant material, so it's a much heavier canvas, and it is quite difficult to pack the change room up into the X1-H. In the Australian version, it's a lighter material. It's the same material we use on the fly, which is an Oxford material, and the change room packs up or sets up inside the X1-H, no problems. The reason I'm not showing you that today, I actually don't have one here. We're waiting on the manufacturer to deliver next week when production starts. But down the track, guys, I'll continue doing videos when I can, and we'll probably get a little bit more specific about all the canvas and the way that you set it up. Before I go into the features of the tent, if you get the sail option, the sail attaches from this corner all the way to the hard lid and then out to the pole of the awning. So you create a really weatherproof seal in here, but up in this corner here, I'll open that up because I'm going to go through some stuff in there as well. Up in this corner here, we're never going to get a perfect seal around there. So you will get water coming in this side here, pooling down into the gutter, and it runs off in that corner or it'll run off in the back of your trailer. With the X1 soft top, you get a perfect seal all the way around. You've got canvas on canvas, and we've got some really cool videos coming through from customers at the moment of some torrential rain, actually up in Townsville in the floods a couple of weeks ago, and underneath it, it is completely bone dry. So that's a bit of a disadvantage with the X1-H, but if that's a big concern to you, the X1 soft top is one to look at. The other thing worth noting is you can't pack the kids' room up into the X1-H attached. It just simply zips on. With the standard X1, you can pack the kids' room up as well. So that's a consideration to make. But as far as fast setup goes, I don't think it gets much quicker than that. I'll talk about the new staircase. Now, we came up with this concept about 18 months ago, and this has been a game changer for people that used to come and have a look at a rooftop tent sort of style trailer, and we used to get them at the shows where you get people walk up, you know, and they'd see a ladder, you know, with step treads, and it was just instant no. Didn't matter how much they loved the trailer, if they weren't comfortable getting up and down the stairs, they just weren't interested in the trailer. So we came up with this concept. For this year, we have completely redesigned this ladder. It's about 50% lighter. Like I said, we're going into composites, these ABS plastics and the molds. If you come in nice and tight on this one, mate, have a look at the tread pattern on here, the Patriot Campers logo, all extruded. I mean, the functionality of it with the handrail, it's really world-class stuff. And this is the gear that I'm so proud of. I'm so proud of my engineering team because they're pushing themselves. I've got to admit, I push them pretty hard, but they push themselves every day to just excel in everything that they do. And coming from a camping background, they just get it, they understand it. You've got a flap at the front of the tent as well, so obviously if you want to seal this off, if you had the change room on, our thought process is you would have all of this just rolled up to the top. And you know what, before I get up in there, I might do that, roll it all up into the top. You'd have a door here, door on this side. You can zip the kids off from the kids' room if you attach it, or you can leave it all open and the whole family can hang out together. So again, I'll just undo this, and then I'll get up into the tent and I'll show you all of the new features. The bed base on this one is completely redesigned for this year as well. It's lighter, it's stronger, it's much easier to open, there's less mechanisms. It's a really clever bit of kit. Now, typically speaking, the access from the ladder is really quite simple. You've got the big wide treads. You walk up on this side, and up onto the bed base. Now you can see up here in the bed base, you can see just how sturdy it is, you know. And that's because of the new design hinge mechanism, which we've patented as well. You've got soft touch button switches. You can access them from inside the tent or outside the tent. I'll give you a better look at that when I get downstairs. Up here, it is, it's just an amazing space. It's just an absolutely beautiful space. You know, you'll see with most rooftop tents, you know, this style or conventional kind of pop-up style, usually you would have a doorway right here and it tapers back to about there, which makes them kind of, they feel a little bit more confined, you know. You've got almost a queen size mattress. It's just a little bit narrower than a queen size for this year. I'll run you through that mattress in a minute. Electric actuators. You've got obviously got the awning out the front, so that's always attached, that's permanently attached. You don't need to, you know, spring poles and muck around with that sort of stuff. Really nice lining inside, massive window out the front, so you can obviously pass stuff through from the servery, but more importantly than that, that window, when we done a recent trip up to Fraser Island over Christmas, we were parked up on top of a dune, and the airflow that just pumped through here was absolutely amazing. Now we had an X1 and we had an X1-H. I wish I had a thermometer with me. It was noticeably cooler inside the X1-H. The X1 stays nice and cool inside because of that, obviously that tropical fly, but being that composite lid with a thermal property in the lid, it was a really noticeable difference. You've got LED lights up the top, but you've got diffused LED lights all around the bed base as well, which is really handy. I might actually grab, I've got a sample down there of a mattress. I might just duck down there and grab that, and we'll try and get the camera up inside here. And I'm gonna point you out a lot of the features that are inside this rooftop tent, so give us a sec. Okay, so I'm gonna talk to you about this mattress. Now this is, like I said, this trailer's going to the United States. I wasn't gonna open that mattress, but I really wanna give you a good look. I just don't want to make it look used. Matt, I'm sorry, mate, this has been opened, but I'll pack it back up nice and neat. That's the size of the mattress up there. Now, before I get back up there, let me get rid of that knife. Let's talk about the mattress. And this is the biggest advantage of the Patriot Campers range, the X1 and the X1-H. We have a proper mattress inside the bed, and that came from customer demand over years and years. This is an Australian manufactured mattress. Like I said, it's just a touch smaller than a queen. It's 100 millimeters thick. It's got 60 mil of pocket spring in the bottom, then a dual layer of foam. You've got like a memory foam on top and then a little bit harder foam at the bottom. And these are the most comfortable mattress that I've ever experienced in a camper trailer, and I've slept in a lot of them. It's really like a bed at home. Another really great feature of this mattress here, this is actually designed for the caravan, RV, camper trailer industry. It's got a condensation mat on the bottom. If you've ever slept in a rooftop tent in real humid climates, and I can guarantee everybody who has experienced it, condensation builds up on the bottom of the mattress, and foam mattresses act exactly like a sponge, like putting a sponge on a pool of water. It will just absorb the water all the way through, and I can guarantee you that will wreck your trip 9 times out of 10. Wet mattresses aren't much fun. Haven't experienced that issue with these. The manufacturer guarantees against it. Very, very, very good bit of gear and a high consideration when buying a camper trailer, rooftop tent, caravan, RV, whatever you're buying. A good night's sleep is everything when you're on an extended trip. It's something to really consider. So what I'll do is I'll fold this out the way. Let's get up in there and I'll run you through some of the features inside the X1-H tent. All right, first of all, let's talk about the size in here. I mean, obviously me sitting up in here, the head height in here is just absolutely huge. Like I said earlier, the space that we've created, and a lot of work went into creating this space to get the geometry right, to get the right head height and make this into an area that you would want to spend some time in, you know. I know a lot of our customers, for me, I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning and I don't go to bed till late at night, so I don't spend a lot of time in the bedroom during the day, but a lot of our customers, when they go for their weekends away or on their long extended trips, you know, that they like to hang out in this area, and that's why the change room was a bit of a game changer for us, and same with the kids room. And this is really a spot that you'd want to hang out in. You open this window up here, like I said, you've got this little servery area, but ventilation as well. There's also a magnetic fly screen that clips over the top. It'll be in the back of the trailer there somewhere, so that just pops straight over the top there. The windows on the side are absolutely massive. You've got these pockets up as well. Again, to combat heat and condensation, we've got them in the highest place possible. So obviously the hot air rises and the theory is it drifts out through the side there. Again, we've been running that system in the X1 for a long period of time. It really works. Okay, so let's talk about the lighting inside. If you can see this little button, I'll just move that canvas out the way. If you see this little button down in there, it's soft touch lighting, lights on, lights off. You've got diffused lighting all the way around the perimeter of the bed. At night time, it's really handy, but where that kind of came from, constantly losing stuff down beside the mattress in the old model, X1, phones and car keys and all the rest of it. So that little diffused light works really well. You've also got, this one's got the Webasto diesel hot water system fitted, and what that gives you is a tent heater in the top. So you've got your 2-speed fan here right next to the light switch, and then you've got vents where the hot air pumps out into the tent. It's not going to, and I've said it before, we've got awesome feedback from all of our customers. What the tent heater does is it really just takes the chill out of the air. It's not going to turn up here into a sauna by any stretch of the imagination, but definitely functional, and for the colder climate, it works. So there's a bit of a run through the inside of the X1-H. You've also got some USB charging points up here to charge your phone. You've got a iPad holder that hangs up the front there if you watch the promo video, so if you want to sit up in here and watch movies. We've put a lot of work into the inside of this, and I'm really extremely proud of what we've created and the space that's up here. It's just a really nice, usable space. Let's go outside and I'll show you around some of the other features. So as we go a bit around the back of the trailer, there's a few points I want to touch on, but I can't walk past these. This is the brand new P-Core wheel. We've developed our own wheel here in-house, designed by us. We've worked with one of the big Australian wheel manufacturers who's now assisting us with this project. We're bringing out a range for your Land Cruisers, your Rams and all the rest of it, but really cool. And once again, the design team, what's coming out of the engineering department here is awesome. Let's talk about the storage area in the back of the X1 first, but before I do that, the doors are load rated to 20 kilos, and on all the new trailers we have 20 kilo load rating. The fact of the matter is that these swages will take 160 kilos each. We've obviously built in a safety factor. We had a lot of videos coming in and social media posts from our customers, sitting on the rear doors, babies being changed up on the doors or on the side table and that, and it made us a little bit nervous that what happens in the event of a failure. So we built in a massive safety rating into the rear doors. To access the back of the trailer, since day one, every single camper trailer, actually the reason that the door folds down this way, for those that don't know, this is your picnic table. Long chairs, tables that go into the back of this storage area, which is why we've created such a deep space. You pull out a couple of chairs and this is a nice place to have a meal. That's why we've made it fold down, not sideways or up. But we've obviously thought about the access into the back. So like I said, you undo these two here. If you need to get right up in the back there, your general sort of loading, you won't do it. And you drop that door down there. That gives you access right into the back of the camper trailer. You'd usually pack at the back of there all of the gear that you're not using day to day. Your generator, your tool bag, your stuff that you're not accessing every single day. But underneath these two hatches at the front there is probably one of the cleverest parts of the design of the Patriot X1 model, which is our service module. All right, so let's talk about the service module. This is actually the first time that I've shown this on camera. We spent so much time. This is one of the biggest projects that we ever did as the X1 evolved over the years to take all of the electrical and service components that have been placed all around the trailer as it evolved and we fitted more gear and condense them all into one spot. And there's a couple of really, really good reasons for that. Number one is center of gravity. The batteries are one of the heaviest components. There's about 70 kilos here. So this whole service module has been placed right over the top of the hinge bar, the center of the hinge bar, the pivoting axis of the whole camper trailer. So the weight distribution in the X1 model it's bang on perfect. Keeping all of that weight down obviously gives you the lowest center of gravity. So for the best off-road ability, the angles that you can get these things on, if you watch Patriot games and you see what we do to them, is really quite impressive. And that's because of thought process like this. The other reason for it is you want all your services hidden. You know, can you imagine if, say, a brand new car was released, and instead of putting all the services and computers and modules underneath the dash, they place them into pockets of doors and, you know, or under seats and invisible areas. Any cabinet that you open in a Patriot camper, you'll never see an exposed wire, you'll never see a water line, you'll never see an air line. And aesthetically, you know, that's where we're striving towards, that real sort of automotive structure. The thing with this is as well, again, like I said before, this is so heavily documented, wiring looms for all of our service agents. If there is a fault finding issue, you don't need the guy who physically wired it to know where the relays are, where the fuses are for individual components. It's all in one position. And keeping it out of the way of arm's reach. Everybody, there is nobody I don't know who doesn't stuff every single compartment of their camper trailer with all, whatever gear, pots, pans, whatever it is. You got a BMS tech screwed to the wall of a camper trailer and someone who doesn't know is jamming stuff up against it, you are asking for trouble. And that's the reason that we've hidden the service module underneath the floor. Is it awkward to access? Yes, 100% it is. But should you have to access it? No way. You shouldn't be doing any regular maintenance under there. Obviously things go wrong, things will fail. There's no two ways about it. But replacing a battery every 3 years for the effort that it goes into to pull a battery out and put it back in, I know where I'd rather have it rather than taking up a whole side compartment. Getting back into the quality as well. So on the front, this is accessible from the front here. So inside the side door of your camper trailer, these are your main circuit breakers. So that is all you really need to access in here. All of your fuses are all up in top of that compartment as well. So again, you pop the side door, your whole fuse panel's there, everything's labelled. Actually, I'll show you that in a minute once we're done here. Wiring looms, these wiring looms are not one-off. They're not custom made by, you know, one guy and then the next week another guy makes another one and nobody knows what does what. These are all so heavily documented now, so the fault finding is so easy. And we know all of this from experience. We've been through all of that in the past. All Australian made, the wiring loom's Australian made, the BMS is Australian made. Obviously the batteries come from overseas. We manufacture the whole service module here. We fit it out here. We've got things like, if you can see down in here, you know, bulkheads for all of the connections. You'll see most of the industry standard is drill a hole, put a wire through it, fill it with silicon. You know, we don't do any of that sort of gear. So you can see the quality that goes into it. Water pumps is something that people do get concerned about. I know customers that order spare water pumps and take water pumps with them, but I can honestly tell you on one hand the amount of water pumps that we've replaced under warranty. Obviously they have a lifespan. We use a SureFlow pump, so we use the highest quality pump that we can, like all of the other gear that we fit in here. So that gives you a bit of background insight. It's the things that you don't see. You know, it's the things that you don't see that make all of the difference. I get frustrated very easily, very, very easily. I'm not the type of guy who loves to tinker with stuff. I like my stuff to work, and I just want it to work. I want to know that when I go out on a trip, the thing's going to last. I'm not going to be in there with a test light and replacing fuses and all the rest of it. And I will personally guarantee that this is one of the most sophisticated, complex, but reliable systems, exactly for those two reasons, of any other manufacturer on the market. This is what our customers are paying for. So in saying that, let me just show you those two access points. Come around here. But if you actually have a look up in here, now again, this is a US trailer, so we don't fit the US inverters, but the US inverters, we wire everything up, so when they get over to the boys in the United States, they put in a 110 volt inverter. But up in here, there's your fuse panel. Everything's labelled. That's all of your fuses for the camper trailer. Should anything go wrong, you've got one place to go to. In this side here, there's your two circuit breakers. So those two circuit breakers are the two main breakers, and that's all you need to access should anything ever go wrong. You shouldn't have to climb into the back. This is just reminding me when I've opened this door. Another big thing with the X1-H is we put a lot of work and a lot of testing into a fail-safe. So here on the side is the fail-safe procedure. Should you lose 12 volt power, should something go wrong with the actuators, which I can say that nothing's going to go wrong with the actuators for a very long time, and I'll tell you the reason why in a minute. There's a procedure here. All you need is a 4mm Allen key. There is 3 bolts on this side of the rooftop tent, 3 bolts on that side of the rooftop tent. The 2 poles that you use as a support with the kids' room have been designed that you undo those 3 bolts, the 3 bolts on the other side. You can manually lift it up. It is heavy, yeah, but it's easily doable. You lift it up and you put in the 2 poles, and that'll keep you out of trouble until, if you're in a really remote location, until you can get back into town. So you still got full functionality of the camper trailer. You obviously just don't have the remote control. So that's a pretty cool feature. Okay, solar. Let me quickly talk to you about the solar panel we fitted to the roof of the X1-H. It's a rigid mounted panel. You obviously can't remove it, it's there, it's fixed. Would I rely on that as my sole source of charge on a trip? No, not a chance, no way, I wouldn't. And I'll tell you the reason why. If I wanted to rely on that, I'd have to set up my campsite for whatever period of time in full sun for the duration of my trip. Now, we live in Australia, I live in Queensland, and we travel a lot to the top of Australia. Maybe in colder climates I'd do it. But the first thing that goes through my mind living in Queensland, or really any sort of camping experience, when I pull into a campsite, where's the best shaded area for me to set up my camper trailer? That's the first thing that goes through my head. So for that reason there, you wouldn't rely on that when you set up at camp. Whilst you're traveling, 50% of the time, I will see my solar take over on my BMS. The other 50% of the time, which will be the time that you get caught out, you're going to get more charge out of your vehicle whilst you're driving into the BMS than you will out of the solar panel. For a long trip, you can't beat a generator. As long as you've got fuel in it, 30 amps goes straight into your trailer, you know you're in control. You don't have to go for a drive to charge up your camper trailer. You don't need to leave your car idling in the campsite, which I've done before. And when the weather turns bad, you're not relying on solar. Again, guys, my personal opinion, this is really designed as a takeover sort of fail-safe unit. We have another input, so you've got the advantage with the X1-H that you can run 2 inputs of solar. So this one's working all the time, but say for example, you are set up in a nice shaded area, you can still run out a red arc solar blanket or any type of solar panel wherever you like, face it into full sun and get the full advantage of having solar without hitting 60 degrees inside your camper trailer because you're parked in full sun, on a beach up north somewhere. So that's something to consider. The other thing I didn't touch on, and I actually do have them over there on the service module, lithium batteries. Is lithium better than AGM? 100%, yeah? But lithium costs 6 times the price of AGM. We've been offering lithium, Revolution lithium upgrade, and Revolution and Red Arc work hand in hand together. We know those 2 units work together. We've been offering lithium for 3 to 4 years now. We're finding it's getting more popular. If you were really relying on your solar, there's no 2 ways about it. Lithium and solar goes hand in hand together. They're the 2 best you can put together because of the absorption rate of lithium. You've definitely got a weight saving with lithium. There's no 2 ways about it, and you've got big voltage advantages with lithium. We'll do another video down the track and we'll do a comparison, and like I said, we'll probably get Red Arc and Revolution in and hear it from the technical guys. So before we close off, I've got one more thing to show you, which is part of the R&D process. And this is something that's really cool. I think we're taking testing to a whole nother level now. It's not all about me and real world testing anymore, which is the way we used to do it. We'd make a modification. Sarah, me, the kids, we'd jump in the car and we would go on for a couple of weeks. We'd come back with a list of stuff. The engineering team are just, like I said, they're taking it to another level. We're going to spin around and I'll show you what's going on just behind me. So right behind me, you might have caught glimpses of this throughout the video. We've got E0 trailer, which is the engineering prototype 0. This is the base model, the first X1-H that we ever produced. This one was built in September last year. So October, November, December, January, February, 5 months. We're going on to 6 months of testing after the design. The whole design phase of the X1-H to production was about a 12-month process. Quickly have a look here before this goes off. You can see what we're doing here is we're doing a cycle count. We're doing a cycle test on the X1-H lid and the actuators, and effectively what we're trying to do is break it. We haven't broken it yet. You can see right here we're at 1,088 cycles, which if you open and close the tent every day, there's 3 years worth of, or close to 3 years worth of opening and closing. But we've taken it one step forward. Here we go, 0, here it goes. So what we've done with the lid is we've simulated, we've taken the canvas off, so we've got full access to see any failure points. Nothing has failed yet, and that's hand on heart, the honest truth. The Oki straps that we've got there are simulating the weight of the canvas. So we're trying to get the weight as close to what it would actually be opening and closing every day. You can see the hinge mechanism. That's another patented item. What we're finding now is the actuators are starting to come down at 1,000 lifts now. They're starting to come down at different increments, at different times. Here you go. You can see that. You can probably see that perfectly from that angle. See this one here? This one's coming down first. That one's coming down second. Probably 2 things there. You can see the amount of flex that we have in the fiberglass lid, which is a big advantage because it's not putting pressure into any other fail points or twisting sheet metal or cracking the glass. This will open up again in a second. But the reason that it's doing it, at 500 opens, 500 cycles, the engineering team pulled apart the actuators, and with solvent, they took all the lubricant out of inside of the actuators and put the actuators back together. And they've been running here now for another 500 cycles. So these actuators currently are running exactly like that with no lubricant inside them, and they haven't failed yet. Eventually something will give. Eventually something will break. I think now we're very confident that there's not going to be a failure in any of the hard mounting, so any of the sheet metal, any of the fiberglass. The failure will definitely be in the actuator. Again, when it comes down the track, when you get years down the track, whether it's 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, you need to replace the actuators. It's a part now that we own, we have control over. It's literally 2 bolts, 1 bolt here, 1 bolt at the top, and a Deutsch plug. So you unclip the plug, undo 2 bolts, stick another actuator in. You can hear how dry they're running compared to what we were doing this morning. So you can see we're really trying to push this thing to the limit. And it's really exciting. Every sort of morning we come in here and it's like, has it broken? Has it broken? And hasn't broken yet, but it's definitely getting louder, which is really cool. Getting back to the actuators, we can ship out that actuator in an airbag, overnight that, anywhere in Australia, should you ever have a failure on an actuator. So there are a couple of things that will give our customers, I guess, peace of mind. Definitely gives me and the engineering team peace of mind that we've thought about all of these fail safes, and this is what's going into the product that our customers ultimately are buying. All right, guys, so there you have it, a look around the X1-H, and I've got to apologise, this video was really not meant to go this long. It was meant to be a 10-minute quick whip around. As usual, I got excited. I think that the whole team here gets excited over the evolution of the X1 and where it's evolved over the past 5 years. And I hope this gives a little bit of insight into some of the reasons why we've done the things that we've done and the direction that possibly we're heading. The biggest influencer that we have as a business is, it's by no stretch of the imagination me or even Sarah anymore, it's our customers. We have evolved that platform, the X1-H platform, into all of the feedback that we take over the past 5 years, all of the staff, the engineering team, customer service, the crew, the production crew that I've got out the back here all time, like the best of the best. I work with the A-team every day. And these guys take all of that knowledge and we evolve that based on what the customer wants. So if you've got any constructive criticism, and I mean constructive criticism, put it in the comments, Place it in the comments. We all look at it, we all read it. We'll come back to you if we can, and you might see one of your ideas evolve somewhere down the track. We want to do a lot more of these videos this year. In saying that, I'm doing it again. I'm talking more than I have to. I need to get back to work. I've got a business to run. We'll come back at you when we can with more developments from Patriot Campers. See you later, guys.